of the most iconic voices in golf are back to save the day and ready to entertain in their newly weekly video podcast. Kostis and McCord, off their rocker.
It's Kostis and McCord, off their rockers. Our episode 2, we've got a very special show for you today. We're going to have Peter and Gary with you in just a moment. They're going to share the true story behind why Gary was canceled and fired by the Masters. It wasn't just the bikini wax, and it wasn't all Augusta National. And then Coach Kostis will bring us some great tips that'll really help you improve your game. And later, Gary's got a very special guest, Jason Gore, PGA Tour winner and Senior Vice President, Player Advisor for Commissioner Jay Monahan for the PGA Tour. Jason's going to tell us what really happens behind the scene at the PGA Tour with these new designated tour events. Remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@KostisMcCord. We really appreciate it. And now, on Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers, our favorite time is story time with Peter and Gary.
Is this slow enough for you now?
No, that's I've got that back thing, and I can't. And you down those hills, and boom, you hit those potholes, and bam,
Are
like
you gonna
that.
complain all day long?
Just don't go
bitch.
and you like to swerve left. You don't go to the right. You
I'll
like to
show you
swerve left.
You want swerve
and
left?
I'm on this side, so I could just jettison out that way.
Okay,
if you're
that's
going
my goal.
Too fast.
See if I can get you.
I got every time I get in the cart, you got to hold on like this.
God
Jesus Christ.
bless. Oh, okay, it's going to be like this all day long. Seriously.
My back's feeling
All right,
better.
I got one for you.
What?
Right? I noticed the joyful glee with which you told people that I got fired, and you thought you didn't get fired from CBS.
Yeah,
right?
that's kinda
However, you did get fired from CBS, kinda, in '94, and that's a story that people don't really know much about. The Masters, right?
Yeah.
So we're at the Masters, 1994. You're in the 17th tower. You got the president of CBS Sports in your tower,
Neil Pilson,
right?
sitting right next to
And
me.
you made vague references to body bags and bikini wax.
You know,
This is the guy who never wants to say, if you go down there, you're dead. That's a cliche.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
And these,
you
and these
rewrite
greens,
cliche, yes.
are like an ice rink.
You got it. You got it.
That's a cliche.
You got
right?
it.
So you come up with body bags and bikini wax.
Again, in this business, which no one seems to do anymore, is you take a cliche
Maybe it's because
like
you got fired.
well, it could be. Let's don't do what he does. You take a cliche like just what you said. He's dead over there, and you rewrite 100 times. He's got a tag on his toe. He's on the slab. He's ready for cremation. It's all the same thing. He's dead over there, right?
Yeah.
And you just rewrite it. So I did that, rewrote the stuff. And I used to clown him at Augusta to see what I could get away with, because you have to know the process.
Right.
With Frank Circadian sitting in there, he's got 10,000 things going, and he's not listening to the announcers, so you can get away with some stuff. 14th hole when I was on that, and I know you probably remember that one year, the pin's back right, wind's howling, and every ball's going up on that side of that hill where all the patrons are, and it's plowing into them. So I go, wow, I hit one of the cheap seats, and I counted 1, 2, I got to 3. Frank Circadian, what? You stupid idiot, there are no cheap seats at Augusta. Well, I knew the process, okay? So
this time, though,
this is different, a little different. So
Pilson laughed.
Pilson, what happened was we've got Jose Maria Olazabal. I lost my ball, is down in the fairway. He's talking to his caddy about what the next shot is, and it pins back right the last day. And I said, let me interpret. I said, if he's the caddy, no, they're talking in Spanish obviously.
Right. Yeah.
And I said, the caddy, his brother, is telling him, don't hit it over the green because there's body bags down there.
Right.
Cliche, it's a euphemism for he's dead. That's it. Okay, no big deal. That was earlier in the show. Now we go to later, and we go to commercial break, and we're late in the telecast. And as you know, if you've got anything to say,
That's generally what the 17th hole is.
yeah, unless they go into a playoff, yeah. So anyway, we're on the 17th hole, and I'm sitting there, and we go to commercial break. I've got the president of CBS Sports sitting next to me with the bat phone. It's a red phone that goes right into who was it that time?
Hort Harden.
Hort Harden, very good. So he's in the catacombs down below, and that's the phone. He can get right to the telecast, and he's sitting right next to me. So, as you know, I put magazines up there with me, and all I do is read. I get words, I ingest the words into my head. Any word whatsoever, just get them in there. Just get them in there. I'm reading shit that I didn't even know about. And all of a sudden I look down, and we're in a commercial break, and I see the Golden Door, Escondido, California. I live there,
Yeah.
Escondido.
Yeah.
Golden Door. Wow, it's expensive. So I'm looking, and they got a menu of what the girls get. Cucumber things in their eyes, whatever that is. It was seaweed wraps,
Yeah.
and there was bikini waxes. And I went, oh, okay. We got 30 seconds.
So now you're blaming the Golden Door. for
No,
this.
but it's true. It's true. So all of a sudden, bikini wax, bikini. Now, as you know, at Augusta, the one thing they're deathly afraid of is the speed of these greens, right?
Yeah.
So Jose hits it over here to the left, and he's got a putt over to the right. And you know that putt. It goes like
Downhill
that.
toward
Yeah.
Race Creek.
And it's just faster than hell. So I said, this putt that Jose's got here is really, really delicate. Once he gets to the top of that hill, it's a speed freak all the way down. In fact, I don't think they mow these greens. I think they bikini wax them. Okay? Neil Pilson is laughing his ass off next to me. He's the president of CBS Sports. The phone's not going off. Anyway, that was it. Frank never said anything. Nobody said anything, right? And there was a bunch of stuff at how we were good at the Masters, and everything was great. So now, the next Wednesday, we're at Hilton Head.
Well, back then we used to take the 2-hour drive.
Yes.
From Augusta to Hilton Head.
Yes.
We stayed at 16 Mizzenmast.
Yes.
Which is a story that we have to wait for another time
That's
to tell.
another time.
And
the other story.
And then Wednesday we go into Frank's office, or actually we get called into Frank's office.
Yeah, I get called into Frank's office, and he goes, "Close the door." So I close the door, and I sit and he throws me a letter, and it's written in pencil. And I look at the letter, it says addressed to Augusta National, and it says, we need to eradicate this lesion on golf. He is the Howard Stern of golf,
Yeah.
and we need to pay attention to this and what he said. Signed, Tom Watson. I look at Frank, and I said, what the hell is this? He goes, I don't know. I got it from Augusta, and they sent it to me. I go, well, what's this mean? He goes, I don't know yet. And I went, all right, keep me posted. So Friday, Frank goes, get in here. And I go, what? And he goes, Augusta now is getting ready. I said, for what? For your death. I go, what? He goes, they've now gotten a position where they're going to do something about it. I went, oh God, how do I handle this? He said, well, you're going to handle this yourself. He said, CBS will not back you at all because the Masters, as you know, is their biggest asset. So they really want to get you distance from this and get you out there. This is your fight. Stay above the process. That's all Frank told me. Stay above the process. So, I don't know, what was it, a couple months later?
Yeah.
And they go, you're out, gone. So I had to deal with that at that point. And I remember no one said a word to me, and Augusta there were articles and everything else. And I remember one of the articles was Gary who from Augusta went, these guys don't know how to play the game. So I always remember what Frank said. You stay above this. This is your fight, but you stay above it. So I did. I said, they're absolutely dead right, which I still think they are. It's their tournament. If they don't want a guy there, go ahead, get him out. I did not like the fact that Tom did not come to me first.
Yeah, that was not very manly.
And poke me in the chest or whatever he's got to do and go, hey, you're a total asshole. You shouldn't be on the air, and I'm going to go to PGA. He reversed the process, and it never did set well with me, as you know.
Okay, so now let's fast forward.
Yeah.
We're out here, Phoenix Open, the following year.
Yeah.
You've been let go.
Yeah.
And
You love to say that, don't you?
Yeah. You've been let go.
You let me.
And another aside, it's kind of like what CBS did to Ben Wright with that debacle at the LPGA Championship
Yes.
in Delaware.
Yes.
And the CBS just, no, we're not we're not defending him
At all.
Ben was on his own.
Right.
They left you on your own. There's a
Right.
pattern there. I'm just saying.
Right.
Okay.
They're protecting an asset. Yeah.
So now we're at the Phoenix Open.
Yep.
And back then, America West had a charter flight for players and caddies and assorted VIPs from Phoenix Sunday night to Monterey.
Yeah.
And you and I were on that flight.
Right.
And 6 rows in front of us
Right.
was Tom Watson.
Oh, I know where you're going with this one.
Okay?
Yeah, I
So
forgot
now we're
about
flying to Monterey.
Yeah, I forgot about
and
that
you're
one.
looking at him and you're going, that son of a bitch, I cannot believe he's fucking with my income. He can't do that. That's against PGA Tour rules. And I'm having to hold you down.
He might get me fired from CBS. Literally, he
Yeah,
might take
yeah.
my livelihood away.
So I'm trying to hold you down. We get to the airport. He's got a courtesy car waiting for him.
Yeah.
We go get our rental car.
We got a rickshaw.
we get our rental car. That was nice. Then 2 of us drive to Pebble Beach. We're
Yep.
staying at the lodge.
Yep.
And we park the car out front. We get out. We walk in. Hello, Mr. McCord. Hello, Mr. Kostis. Everything's great. We walk in, and who is standing at registration right in front of us? Tom Watson.
Mm-hmm.
Now you start up again. And Elk is behind.
Yeah.
Elkington's
Steve
there, too.
Elkington's there too. So
And so now you start. That son of a bitch. He's work. I can't believe he did that. He didn't come to me first. And you're working up a lather. I mean, big time. And then go ahead, take it over.
So Tom registers in front of me, and he turns around to walk out, and I said, "Have you got a second?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm going to meet you right there in the alcove. You know, in the alcove to the left of the doors there."
You walk right into on the right hand side.
yeah.
It's kind of like
And
where you
it's-
put your umbrellas
Yeah,
and stuff.
there's
and
nothing
it's a
in there.
Coat room.
So I go in there, I register, and I go in there, and he's sitting there. And next thing I know, he's poking me in the chest, and I'm poking him in the chest. And I kind of look over, and you guys are sitting there laughing your ass off because we're going to get in a fight over there. And I just told him that I don't understand why he didn't do this and man up and come to talk to me first, and he was trying to be God in this whole thing. That was the intent of the conversation. And since, you know, we played the Champions Tour and stuff, and we've gotten along fine. I understand it. Actually, as you know, I got more publicity for doing this than anything I ever did in golf. So
It's conceivable that not only did he not hurt your income,
no,
he enhanced it.
Oh my God!
Right?
Oh my God! Yes.
So
I should pay him a retainer fee.
You ought to give him a present.
Yeah,
actually.
I should.
Right.
I should. So anyway, that's the real story. What actually happened, and it's the thing where you deal. You're with a network, but you have to deal with certain things that are the network separates itself from you.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't want you to affect their biggest asset. I'm talking. We could argue the fact that it's bigger than the Super Bowl for them every 3 years.
Yeah.
Augusta every week. Anyway, so that's the story. It's off my chest. Thank you for bringing that up.
I enjoyed that story, actually.
Yeah, I bet you did. I could see the glee in your face.
Don't go away. Kostis and McCord off their rockers. We'll be right back. Coach Kostis gives us some great golf tips that'll really help you improve your game. And later, Gary's got a very special guest, Jason Gore, PGA Tour winner and Senior Vice President, Player Advisor for Commissioner Jay Monahan for the PGA Tour. Jason's going to tell us what really happens behind the scene at the PGA Tour with these new designated tour events. You got to stay tuned for that one.
Kostis and McCord off their rockers is presented by Swing U. Check out the incredible Swing U app. Gives you great GPS course data from tee to green, and including green reading. And you know, even simple strokes gain features can help you improve your game. So go out and check on the App Store or at swingu.com. It's a great app. It'll shave strokes off your game.
Visit our website at KostisMcCord.com. Like and subscribe at our YouTube channel and on any social media, Kostis and McCord off their rockers. Now it's time for Coach Kostis. Peter gives us some great tips to help our games.
I'm going to give you my 6 rules for how to find your game after you lose it, and or how to develop your game if you just
So we
start
come
out.
from either side. All right.
What's the first thing that happens when people say I got it?
I got it. They just don't have it.
Where to go?
It's gone.
Right. All right. So rule number 1.
Okay.
Strong grip before weak grip.
Okay.
So
What's a strong grip?
the grip has to be the most important thing in golf. It's your only contact with the club. So right-handed, when you turn both hands to the right, that's stronger.
Okay.
That tends to shut the club face down.
Okay.
Right? And
Show me what shut the club face means.
So that I'm giving the lessons.
No, I'm just asking as a stupid,
Okay,
stupid golfer.
so what happens is most people leave the club face open, pointing to the right for a right-handed golfer, and they have grips that are too weak.
Okay.
For every great golfer I've seen with a weak grip, I've seen thousands with a stronger grip.
Okay.
So the first rule is, again, if you've lost your game, try a stronger grip than what you've been using, and then see if, with that grip, see if you can hook the ball. And if you can hook the ball, then you can slowly start to weaken it until you get the ball flight you want.
Okay.
So strong grip before weak grip.
Okay. Strong grip is going to make it go lower. Weak grip make it go higher.
And shorter.
Okay.
Now, next rule, feet together before feet apart.
Yep.
So what happens with the feet together? It helps get your posture set so you can get the right balance, right distance from the ball.
Okay.
But most importantly, as you turn back and turn through, you have to keep your balance.
Okay.
So if you don't have balance, swing, swing. If you're falling over and falling back, that's telling you something.
Okay.
So you stay there with your feet together until you can make a full swing, and eventually make a full swing with every club in your bag, including a driver.
Okay.
Right? And then gradually start to widen your stance.
Okay.
I think you'll realize that you don't need a real big wide base to generate a lot of power and speed.
Okay.
Now, biggest problem with amateur golfers, they think the club is supposed to get under the ball and lift it in the air. That's why they hit fat, thin, out to the right and whatnot. So this rule number 3, puts an end to that, because it's going to teach you how to compress the back of the golf ball down, spin it up in the air.
Okay.
That's how the ball gets up in the air correctly. So this is ball back before ball forward.
Okay.
When golfers start to lose their game, invariably the ball gets way forward because it's easier to feel like you can get the club under, right? So start with it way the hell back, right off your right toe.
Okay.
And then from there, learn to hit down and learn to feel the club striking the golf ball, then the turf. And when you can spin it up in the air correctly, then you can gradually start to move the ball forward to find your ball position for whatever club you're using. So it's ball back before ball forward.
Okay. And
right?
now, is that, we hear so much now about shuffling. So that's shuffling what you're talking about?
Correct.
Okay.
But because I've got the ball back, I've already got the shaft lean set
Right.
up, so I'm going to return it back to that same position.
Okay.
Right?
Those 3 tips can really help your game, and Peter will be back with Coach Kostis and his next 3 tips on our next episode. Don't go away. Kostis and McCord off their rockers. We'll be right back.
Strokes gain stats are finally easy with the most 5-star rated golf app in the country. Swing U accurately and objectively provides feedback across driving, approach shots, chipping and pitching, bunker play, and putting. Easily identify your strengths and weaknesses and laser focus your practice time so you can quickly shave strokes off your score. Download Swing U and start owning your game today.
Visit our website at KostisMcCord.com, like and subscribe at our YouTube channel, and on any social media, Kostis and McCord off their rockers. Let's get back to Kostis and McCord right now.
We've got a gentleman here from the halls of Ponte Vedra where a lot of action is going on. Mr. Jason Gore, 2005 84 Lumber champion. That was a while ago. I've known him for a long time. Lately, he's been in the business of being a liaison, which basically on the tour, he's a liaison with the USGA and golfers, and now he's a liaison at the PGA Tour between the players and staff, and just trying to coordinate a lot of stuff. It's a very busy job, and it's a very highly political job. And nobody better than Jason, because everybody likes him. I've known him for 100 years, and I trust the hell out of him. So we're going to get a lot of good answers, and we'll have a good conversation. Jason, you're out there. Talk to me, partner. What have you been doing here, like for the last 24 hours?
Nothing really. It's kind of been I've been mostly sitting on the couch eating bonbons.
Yeah, don't do that.
It's yeah, I don't need any more of those. It's been a little busy. It's been I'm super happy where we're at. I think hopefully we've changed the tour for the better coming up. There's been a lot of controversy about what happened, but I think it's great. I think in the long run, this is going to be a really good change to the tour. It's going to showcase the top players playing against each other more often. It's going to provide excitement for the full field FedEx Cup events, and I think it's going to be awesome. Well,
Jason, let's go back and just give our viewers, kind of like the Netflix deal. Let's assume they don't know what pars and birdies are and cuts and so forth. PGA Tour was part of the PGA of America, and back in 1968, the players broke from the PGA of America and formed their own division, the Players. And that basically was made up of 60 guys that were exempt. And then about 65 to 70% of the rest of the field were Monday qualifiers, trying to get in the 144-man field. That lasted a long time until 1983. And then the all-exempt tour came along, which took 60 to 125 guys exempt. So there was an expansion of the tour. Basically, it was just to give more guys a chance to make money and more of a socialistic kind of viewpoint to the tour and to make a living. Jason and I both went through that together. And then now, because of LIV, because of that competition, change had to be made. And now the tour is constricting again and going back to 70-man fields. And this new situation that they just announced from Ponte Vedra yesterday called the designated event model. Jason, we'll get on that right now. So tell us basically, and give us some broad strokes of what the tour is doing in response to LIV and how we're going to structure starting in 2024.
Well, we still have the 125 exempt player that you implemented in 1983. I'm not that old. I wasn't a part of that, but
yeah, you are.
That was all you're doing, Mr. McCord.
Thank you. I wanted somebody to come along with me.
I just think this is a way, like if you look at major championships, if you look at the top 50 players in the world, they average 95% of the top 50 players in the world playing against each other in these events. On the PGA Tour, it's about 45%. So we're upwards, we're not giving the best product going forward. And we'll still have plenty of playing opportunities. I mean, I talked to a guy yesterday and he's like, well, this is restricting playing opportunities. I'm like, yes, for me. Like, I should never play in another PGA Tour event again. Like, I love all these guys that are playing in Puerto Rico this week, but, they're not competitive for PGA Tour standards. And I'm one of them, right? Like I'd be in Puerto Rico by I think 10 or 12. Like,
by the way,
I've had my time. I'm done.
By the way, Jason, I went through that same thing when I did the all exempt tour to tell these guys if you're not 125, you're not good enough. So we're gonna go play somewhere else. How did that go over when you told those guys that are like in Puerto Rico right now that they're not good enough? That can't be fun.
No, it's not. It's not fun, but believe me, they know. And you know what? I'm hoping they play great this week. I'm not saying they're not good enough.
But they'll have access.
I'm just saying it's probably not our best product. And listen, we're not extinguishing them. Like if the fields go there, then they're in, right? So we're not telling them to kick rocks, but it's it's certainly we think that there's a better product out there. And sponsors hope for that, TV hopes for that, like a lot of constituents, fans want that. So that's kind of what it is. So we designed a system that was, very similar to World Golf Championships. That's going to be a little bit more, or it's going to be completely PGA Tour centric. So, I mean, everybody's freaking out that, oh my gosh, what they're blowing this up and yada, yada. It's very similar. And I'm sure some folks in my office would like to punch me in the face right now, but that to me as a player, that's what it is, right? Yep. So you got the top 50 from BMW Championship. So the guys,
and that's last year's. Playoffs, that would be 2023. We'll get into 2024, right?
Right.
Okay.
So if you make it into the field at BMW in 2023, which is their second round of our playoffs, so our playoffs go 70, cut to 50 at BMW. So we start at FedEx at 70 players, then it cuts to 50 at BMW, and then cuts to 30 at the Tour Championship. So the guys who make it to BMW, they're all exempt into these designated events.
Okay.
There will be 8 of them outside of the majors, the Masters. I'm sorry, the majors, the players, and the playoffs.
So there'll be 16.
So those are 8 events.
16 events, right?
16 events with the designated name, 8 events that will be our doing, right?
And that'll be so you've got the top 50, then you got 10 players not otherwise currently eligible, and then you've got 5 from non-designated tournaments. So can you explain that a little bit to the listeners, viewers?
So we call this the Swing Series. What this is say you have the West Coast Swing. So you got the Hope, Farmers, Phoenix, Pebble, all these things. So the top 5 guys that play in these full field FedEx Cup events, if you were the top 5 players out of this swing, you get into the next designated event. Okay. So we're basically offering play-in opportunities. So let's say, Gary, you go finish 11th at Amex, right? At the Old Hope, as we know it. So you were probably going to go play the next 2 weeks to try to get yourself a spot into Tiger's event, into Genesis. That's going to play for $20 million with no cut. So there are play-in opportunities. It's not a closed shop. It actually, I feel like it's kind of aspirational. So, you get guys that can still qualify. Like I said, it's the World Golf Championship without the other tours involved. So,
the way it was before, you had you guys were meeting and divulged all this on Wednesday, and I was kind of looking at this. I went, God, this is a system now that's going to be locked, because if you're not in the top, let's say 70 guys that are playing those designated tournaments, those are all for $20 to $25 million, and then you've got the other tournaments playing for $7 to $10 million. How the hell are you going to get into that top 70? So it would just about be impossible unless you won 5 or 6 of them. But now it looks like you guys have got kind of a way, a pathway for those players that are not in the designated to get into the designated tournaments where the really big money is, and to further their careers.
Correct. And also we're looking into ways that how do you weight the points, the FedEx Cup points, to be stronger, basically to emphasize playing well in these designated events. If you get a guy that comes, that's not in the top 50 who qualifies through one of the platforms and plays well at a designated event, and somebody who's in the top 50 who does not play well at a designated event, well, tides have turned now. So they, with just the way the point structure, they're going to take a huge point lead, and there will be turnover. There will be guys that, that are in the top 50 that, finish way down the list and at a designated event that might have to add some stuff to the schedule, even though they're in the next designated event, because the top 50 is kind of, for lack of a better word, it's sacred. They're exempt in all these, but still, like, you better play well at these, or there's a way to shift out of them, because guys are going to be shuffling in. I mean, we were looking at it. Cam Young last year, if this was 2024, he would have gotten into, I believe, and don't quote me on this, but he would have gotten into almost every designated event. Okay. And if he would have played well in there, then he would have gone, right to the top. And
right. So let me ask you this.
It does reward guys.
I know you've crunched some numbers in your computers and so forth, and I'll just go back to 1983 with the all exempt. We were trying to figure out if 125 guys are exempt, who's going to come on, what percentage, and what percentage is going to go off the tour. And that's a hard thing to do. But now with all sorts of algorithms, have you guys figured out yet what you think the turnover would be between a designated player and a player that was not designated? What do you guys see on that?
We've ran 1,000 simulated seasons. Not me. I say we like I got a mouse in my pocket. our Mike Vitti, who's our resident genius, quant, to use a Wolf of Wall Street He's the numbers guy.
Okay.
Ran 1,000 simulated seasons through, 2019 all the way back to I don't even know what. But the turnover rate is the retention rate's 64%.
Wow.
So there's 64% chance that you are going to stay in there. Now, obviously, there's guys that have a higher retention rate. There's guys that have a lower retention rate.
Wow.
No, it's 64%. So what was presented in Delaware was about an 80% retention rate. So there is some volatility, and which will be fun, right? I mean, I've always said there's a huge difference between a top player and a hot player, right? Like the top players are the guys that play terrible and finish 12th, right?
Yes,
we know
yes,
who they
yes,
are. And,
yeah.
Let's say that there's 10 of those guys, right? And the other 40, like the tour is so deep that they shuffle in and out. You might get a good break this one year, and now you're 35th on the money list. You lipped out 3 putts at Harbor Town, and now you're 98th, right? So, I mean, that's how good these guys are from top to bottom, and with a few exceptions of the exceptional, the special players.
For everybody out there, basically, the PGA Tour for years and years and years, it's a third-page sport in newspapers. We got to the first page when Tiger Woods came about. And all of a sudden we were plastered all over the front page. Tiger's doing this, doing that. It is a superstar sport. That's how we exist. So if you're going to build any kind of criteria, any kind of system, it has to promote superstar. LIV is doing the same thing. In essence, they've got 48 players. There's no cut. They're trying to get the best players they can. So people will watch every week that they play because they're going to see all the best players. And a lot of these people, Jason, are asking where the money is. Well, I know that the tour signed, what was it, a $7 billion deal or a $9 billion deal for 7 years through 2030, right?
I wasn't here at that point.
Yeah,
so
okay. I'll tell you what it is. The tour
you
basically
probably know more than I do.
The tour is basically getting $736 million a year up until 2030. So that's where a lot of this money is coming into. The tour is a 501c6, so it's watching its dollars. And I had a couple guys come up to me and ask me about that. I said, well, the tour can't have any. They can't have all this money they're getting. I said, well, they can. And I didn't know that under a 501c6 that you can accumulate money and have money in reserve. So everybody said, well, where's it coming from? How are they getting it? What are they doing? They had it there in the first place. Yeah, they can. That's part of the deal. So this is all, to me, very interesting, what you guys are going through and trying to reorganize and trying to make things where we can create a weekly tour. There are people that watch every tournament. It'll be compulsory to watch because of the depth of the fields and the money that's being played for now. Can you imagine, Jason, playing for $20 million in these events? I can't even. It's frightening. That is frightening. It is really. It's really interesting to give the viewers out there. When I came on the tour in 1974, our average person was 150,000. The caddies they get more than that, a lot more than that. So they're great times for golf, Jason. I think you're having a ball right in the middle of this, and it should be very interesting as this plays out and we get ready for 2024.
Yeah, I think the comparisons to LIV is probably, I don't know. I don't like it because I feel like we're a little bit we're more open and we're just trying to put our best product forward. Like, right, I think this is the best product for the fans and for all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I just was in a meeting going through the Every Shot Live with the players and how they quickly populate it and send every shot that you played for the day is in your email in 10 minutes after you play. And I'm like, holy smokes, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So, I mean, the game is definitely moving forward. The tour is moving forward, and a lot of that has to do with television and people watching and all that good stuff.
Now,
Jason, can I ask you a question?
There we go.
Let me real quick. Jason, can you, for our viewers and listeners, who goes through the process? What people were involved at the tour, or the players, or where did the impetus for this massive change come from?
There was certainly a lot of people. There were a lot of people at the table, that's for sure. I mean, there was, all the top performers were at the table. We ran it through the PAC. We had our executive committee. We had, just a lot, board members, everybody. I mean, this was something that was bounced around, and there had to have been 300 versions of this going around, of where it started, what it was going to do. I mean, it started at 50 players. It started at, 120, and to go up to 120. And, we looked at all these numbers and found that if you go to 120, if you allow 50 more players above around the 70 number, well, it decimates the other events because nobody's going to play. Right. Like, so
right.
You saw what Honda looked like, unfortunately. It just wasn't the best product and wasn't the strongest field going forward because it was sandwiched in between four, $20 million events, or three $20 million events, and the players, which is 25, right? So,
right.
Guys are going to take weeks off. They're going to pick and choose and only play these big weeks. So it's like, to protect the entire product for the entire membership, we had to make these things aspirational. We had to make them play ways to get in, ways to fall out, to keep guys playing and to keep the average, not the average, but the full field FedEx Cup events worth something. And guys, aspirational to have guys playing them, and there was a carrot at the end, right? And so it's kind of like they always said, if you, with this win, you get into Augusta, or, you get this and you get that, or you get into the PGA Championship, or, with your second win, you get into the US Open. I think that's what it is. It's like giving them something to play for. Like there are certain things in there that, that the tour has to offer that's open to all. I mean, a guy coming out of Q School could come out and play great, and boom, he's in the designated event, wins early, or wins Amex coming right out of Q School. Stranger things have happened, and now he's a star. He's playing in these designated events. Boom, he's in. He's earned it. And I think this just puts forth the most competitive product that we can put forth.
Now, Jason, isn't the fulcrum of all this change two guys, Rory and Tiger, in that meeting in Delaware last year with 24 other guys that are the ones that circled the wagons and said we need to change to fight the competition and to get all the best players and all the best events they can?
They were certainly the leaders of this. Yes,
he's been very political.
Yeah, there were 20, very
political with this.
No. They died. No, they were the leaders. There were 21 other guys invited to that meeting, but yes, they were leading the charge of this whole thing. This is kind of what their vision it was, and and the funny part is this is nowhere near what their meeting looked like, what this product is, but they saw that there was a kind of a difference between theory and reality, and it's changed a lot since then. But they were good with it, and other top players, and we'll get the rest of the membership. I think half the time yesterday I was at Bay Hill, and they're like, I had players come up and they were upset, and I'm like, did you read the email that was in there? Did you read all the parts of the email? And they're like, no. And
no,
like, don't read it. I'll be right here. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't yell at me because you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, to give an explanation what Jason's talking about, I remember no one would ever read the rules. You go to the first tee and there's rules and everything. No one would ever read them. Local rules, what's going on this week. So somebody finally figured out they put the rules over the urinals. Do you remember that, Jason? And that's the only time these guys would read it. When they're taking a leak. He's dead right. They don't read anything. They'll have their agent tell, I think it means this or that, but they don't read. They don't want to know. They want to go out and make birdies and hopefully get paid. So
I was in charge of the player memo at the USGA, and I'm like, why am I doing this? Nobody's going to read it.
Yeah, exactly. How did you get them to read it?
3 days doing the play. I didn't.
Oh,
I just did it. I knew they weren't going to read it. I mean, I was almost going to put, bad punctuation or misspell something just to
they get on your ass for that. That's exactly right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
well, listen, partner, thank you very much for coming on our show, and good luck to you. And we'll holler at you later when something brews. All righty.
I'm always here for you, buddy.
Thanks, partner.
You.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Thanks very much to Jason Gore for taking time out of his busy schedule with the PGA Tour with all these new designated events to be with us. And thank you again for watching. Remember, our YouTube channel is youtube.com/@KostisMcCord. Like, subscribe, and share it with all your golf buddies. And now Peter Kostis wants to weigh in on this PGA Tour, this new plan for these designated events with no cuts. Peter, what do you think about the PGA Tour's new plan?
I would like the tour to be a little bit more honest. Just say, you know what? LIV has provided us a challenge. And so in order to keep our good players, not let them escape to another tour, we have to do this. We have to pay them. We have to guarantee them some money. And then by keeping the big name players, we're going to be able to keep the PGA Tour as we know it and love it. If you're honest about that, then I back off a little bit. But the reality is that this has been building for like 30 years. And it isn't entirely LIV's fault. It's kind of like a seismologist who's been telling you for 30 years that this volcano is probably going to erupt at some point in time. And the tour says, nah, it's not going to. It hasn't for 25 years. It's not going to. It hasn't for 50 years. It's not going to. And then boom, the volcano explodes. And the tour goes, oh, crap. What are we going to do now? And their reactionist ability to what LIV has done is painfully obvious to me. Now, is it wrong? Not necessarily. I think we have to wait and see how it's going to turn out. There's a lot of question marks, however. They say that more middle third tier players are going to play in the non-designated events in order to try and play their way into the designated events. We'll have to see if that happens. The no cut is designed for sponsors and fans because they want to see the big names around for the weekend. Well, if that's the case, then if you're going to watch a non-elevated event, then why have a cut there? Because the fans are going to want to see the best names in that event on the weekend. So it's a little bit of discrepancy in their perception of things. I just wish they'd be a little bit more honest. And while it's probably going to ultimately be a better product for the players, I have huge question marks as to whether or not it's going to be a better product for the fans. I know whatever network gets an elevated event, they'll put their A team on, they'll put all their bells and whistles on it to make it look like an elevated event. Does that mean they subtract from the non-elevated events? With no big names or very few big names tuning in or playing in a non-elevated event, will the fans tune in to watch? Or will they say, no, I'm going to wait next week, there's another elevated event? So there's a lot of question marks, and we'll have to, the only thing that's going to determine whether this is a success or not, in my opinion, are the ratings. Because if the ratings don't match what the TV networks sell for their ads, they're going to have to do make goods, and that's really expensive. So there's a lot to digest here, and there's a lot to think about, and we'll have to wait till 2024 to see how it actually turns out.
Thanks for watching our show. Remember to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And check out our sponsor, Swing U, at the Swing U app or swingu.com. It's an incredible app. Next week, we're going to have another great show. We're going to debate and talk about the Netflix series Full Swing. We'll bring you some more tips from Coach Kostis. And we've got an incredible story. Again, something that the guys could never share before between Greg Norman and Peter Kostis at the Masters. It's one you won't want to miss. That's next time on Kostis and McCord Off Their Rockers.